true as the night turns black, this ain't no fairy tale. But I won't quit. Can't you see what I could be? A possibility.
With just a little courage, you could really be something.
I got courage.
Let's take a trip back in the time, 1977. It was maximum crime.
You're a natural wordsmith, man.
You working for drug dealers. You ever thought of quitting? This ain't Disneyland, this is the Bronx.
Dream right, but it seemed like nothing found me but trouble. I see the light, it's right there at the end of the tunnel.
Y'all pushing me to be who you want me to be. Nobody's asking what I want to be.
Show me what you got.
Shaolin's a DJ and we call conductor, cause Shaolin fantastic's a bad mother.
You truly are as fine as wine and so divine. You know I had to make you mine. I've got love in my veins, I've got light in my eyes.
I just want to sing. I want to get out of the Bronx.
I can't let anybody distract me from that.
No daughter of mine is going to sing disco.
I will sing, Bobby, and you cannot stop me.
You're killing my lean soul.
The way I see it, all of us here on this planet, and we're on a journey, and it is a mystery.
These chains on me won't let me be. You've got the key, come set me free.
It's about music, man. It'll move you forward and open up doors that everyone says are shut. It'll give you the whole world for free if you just hold back nothing.
Oh, you hear that? That is life and destiny. That is the get down.
And I will ascend above the heights of clouds and make myself like the most high.
First of all, can I just open by saying you have a name for a music show? Like it's like your parents worked backwards.
There we go.
Like they knew that you would be in a Baz Luhrmann show at some point in your life.
Yeah.
You know, sometime during Stanford perhaps, and then they were like, let's give him the kind of name that will work for it.
Yeah. I don't mind. There we go. It's always worked for me. I love it.
Well, you guys, you know how you always hear about how cool New York used to be and how it was this hotbed of creativity and just inventiveness in music and acting and just all art forms. I feel like this show almost makes me want to live in that time period.
Yeah.
I mean, almost, aside from like the crime and the blackout and all that good stuff. But
and all that good stuff. Right?
Yeah, but how did you come to do it?
The show? Mm-hmm. Well, I was in graduate school at the time, and I was in my third year. I went to the Yale School of Drama, and I did a show.
Alma mater of Meryl Streep.
Yep, there we go. A lot of great people come out of that place. And I was playing King Leontes in a production of Winter's Tale, and I was also playing the shepherd, who's also like a clown. And there was an agent in the audience who was actually an agent of my classmate. She said, "Who's that guy?" And she threw me a bone. And about 4 weeks later, I had the job.
No way, seriously?
Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward. It was a pretty straightforward thing that that happened. She saw me. She sent me an email, said, "I like your work." And there's this thing that came across my desk, and I went in and I auditioned, and then everything started to go from there.
Did you audition with Baz?
Yeah. So the first time I auditioned with the casting director, and then about 2 weeks later, I was in the room with Baz. No, about 1 week later, actually, I was in the room with across from Baz Luhrmann. And
I feel like your backstory is so interesting. I want these guys to hear it. How did you become an actor?
Well, I will preface it with saying that I come from a household. I'm the youngest of six. I'm originally from New Orleans, so growing up, there was a lot of always music and lively activity in my house. And we moved to Oakland, California, and my dad was at work, and so during the summers, And after school, I would be at home with my mom watching Bed Knobs and Broomsticks and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Mary Poppins. And so it's 6 kids, and we're running around and we're singing songs and we're just having a really good time. So I come from a really silly, outspoken family. And I think in some way I was always an actor, but I began to be on the path to study architecture. Mm-hmm. My father was a construction worker, and I always wanted to be like him, but I didn't want to do the wear and tear on my body, so architecture it was from when I was about 6 years old. I went to school at Berkeley, and I studied architecture, and someone recommended that I take an acting class because I was looking for like a little easy credit, and they said it's just like recess. I mean, it's the truth. I was looking for easy credit. Architecture's hard, man, so I was looking for something with a little bit of downtime. And they said, they said, verbatim, he said, take an acting class, it's just like recess. I said, okay. I did an audition with Ving Rhames, the baby boy monologue. And I'm looking these 2 little girls, these 2 little women, I'm sorry, pardon me. I'm looking them dead in their eyes. And I'm smoking on a pen. And I'm looking, the first rule, don't look them in their eyes, but I'm smoking on a pen. And the last line is, you dumb motherfuckers. And I'm just staring them down. And I got into the class, and on the first day I learned never to look them in the eye during the monologue. And no, but then she said, you're pretty good, and you should go on to take more lessons. And I really did, and I took a Shakespeare scene study class. But then I went on, I finished architecture, and I worked in city planning. And I got laid off is what eventually happened in 2010. I got laid off October 2010. And then I said, well, I'm going to take this opportunity to go and try something different and to go do that acting thing that I had a really good time with. And about 1.5 years, I had got into Yale School of Drama and Harvard and NYU and American Conservatory Theater. And I went to Yale, and I graduated just last May, and this is where I am now.
I'm still processing. Sorry, I gotta bring myself back.
It sounds pretty straightforward to me, but it's apparently that's not.
Like in Harvard and NYU.
Yeah, no biggie.
So, what did you take away from your experience at Yale Drama School?
Man, I think a person coming out of Yale Drama School, an actor, really has the ability to just sit down, breathe, talk, and listen, which is so rare in acting. And it's a very difficult thing to do. It's a tremendous skill. But then other than that, we learn so much, but the message is always that I am enough and that anything that I need as an actor, I can find inside of myself, or I can locate in someone else, but I can connect to it in a very human way that makes it also accessible to my own self. And that's really the style of the learning environment in that place.
Now, you're really being hailed as the breakout of the show, and your character is kind of sleazy, perhaps scummy, shady. He's also not into the way the music business is going. I mean, he's not into any of this.
No.
He's really trying to hold on to what he has and not let these kids move forward.
Yeah, well, we meet him in we meet all of these characters on the Get Down in 1977. Disco is #1. Disco is hot and it's high. And Cadillac in the Bronx, he's the king of that world. So we know, history tells us that something happens in about 3 years where it's not all about disco anymore.
Wait, what? Disco's done?
Well, if you ask me, disco's still here. But if you ask history, it may tell you that hip hop started to emerge during that time. So Cadillac is a character who's all the way at the top. And history tells us that he only has to that the only direction to go from there is down, which makes him such a fun character because I get to struggle with trying to stay relevant while there's these younger people. I'm one of the older young cast members, pardon me, and so we get to see me try to stay relevant musically, try to stay relevant in terms of my fashion, in terms of my own life. And so I think that's why Cadillac is so outgoing, because in a lot of ways, he's on the last leg.
What did you connect with him when you read the script?
There's a part of, I really enjoyed the opportunity to just enjoy myself and to look at myself and see what I'm made of and, I have broad shoulders, and to really lean into the style of the 70s. He's a character, when you look at the things that this guy wears, I like to call it, he has like a peanut butter leather suit. I call it the Gingerbread Man Suit because it just looks like the gingerbread man when he wears it. The audacity that this guy has to wear the things that he wears, it just lets you know who he is. And I really, I'm a person that, I like fashion, and sometimes I dress loud, sometimes not, but I always like the opportunity to just see what I'm made of. And Cadillac is always pushing that extreme, I think.
And my sense is that Cadillac is operating from a place of pure fear. Is that your interpretation as well?
Not necessarily. I think he's operating from a place of I think emptiness, and need. I think if you watch the show, you'll get to see, the relationship or the lack of relationship with his mother, and there's someone else in the house. I don't want to give away too much before before viewers watch it, but he's a number two, He's number one in the disco, but in his life and in terms of his aspirations, he's a number two. And I love stories about, I'm really always attracted to stories about number twos because throughout history, number twos they're excellent. They're amazing. They're just not number one, and to be so close to something and to never be able to be there, that's a difficult place to be. So I think there's a sense of loss and of emptiness, but also an urgency. And he's compensating in a lot of ways. His name is Clarence Caldwell, and he calls himself Cadillac, and I think that let me know a lot about the guy.
And when I say fear, I mean fear of what's happening, that that he can't stop it.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
It's just overwhelming
Absolutely.
him.
I mean, the numbers aren't even on his side. You got Cadillac, and then you got the Get Down Brothers. It's the fabulous. It's the Fantastic 4 plus 1, and then so even the numbers don't add up to his side, and we get to see some of that later on in the second half. There's some exciting battles and things like that.
What was it like filming in this replica of 70s New York?
It was wild. Well, number one, it was just an education from the beginning. I was always a fan of James Brown. Big fan of Al Green, Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, but not necessarily the Jackson 5. I kind of tuned into Michael Jackson around '79. Is that Off the Wall? Or I believe that's Off the Wall. And so I missed,
because Thriller was like 80.
Yeah. And I missed the disco era. So the show really taught me about the disco era and about New York in the '70s and the grit and the attitude and the swagger that was really embedded in the culture during that time. So from the beginning, it was an education, and then as I began to don the role and to step into it, everything just became an opportunity at each point.
How did you feel wearing the outfits, and which outfit did you feel the most out of body in? Was it the leather suit?
No, I think I really like the fact that I have long legs and wide shoulders and a small waist.
He's not bragging or anything.
I'm not, but if I have to confess anything, that's my confession, is that if I will use anything to get a job or to, I don't have to use it in other places, but if I could use it to get a job, if you watch me, if I have an audition, I will wear some slim pants, and I will tuck my shirt in and use my broad shoulders. I want to look nice, and I want them to watch me walk out the room and say, man, I really want to see that guy. So Cadillac, I'm like Cadillac in that way, in that I like what I'm working with. And so the clothes, oh my gosh. There's this fur, there's this brown.
Of course there's fur.
Of course there's fur, right? There has to be fur. There's this brown chocolate leather piece. It's one piece that goes all the way down to the floor, and it's just trimmed, lined in fur from the top to the bottom. It goes around the neck like a boa, and he has the matching brown. He's always monotone, So brown hat, brown, and I think the leather piece was one of my favorites.
Does the swagger come naturally to you, or do you have to kind of get into that mindset?
I think it came once I learned to dance, and once I paired the dancing with the clothes and with the jewelry. Then I said, oh, this is the guy who I'm working with, because I had my audition, and what Cadillac has become completely different people. you know. But once I saw what I was working with and did more research on the time, then I knew that, oh, this is the guy who believes that he's larger than life and who operates in a way, you know, he lives upstairs from his club, and he runs a disco dance competition every Saturday, and he wins that competition in his own house, in his own club every Saturday, you know. So he's me, you know, everything is always.
His life is a little bit rigged.
Is that a little bit rigged?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
A lot rigged.
Of course.
But did you know how much dancing you'd have to do when you signed on? Or was that a pleasant surprise?
No, it wasn't. I didn't know it was, but it was a surprise. It wasn't pleasant until I started to pick up the steps. And I remember my audition. I just went into a room. I put on some Fela, I put on some Biggie, and I put on James Brown. And I think I danced to those three, and I cut it up to about a minute, and I sent that in. And I remember during my callback with Baz, when I was testing for it, he kept saying, you know, he didn't worry about the acting, but he kept looking back and he said, but there has to be dancing. He said he has to be able to dance. He has to be able to dance. And I said, okay.
You sound exactly like him, actually.
No, I sound
no,
nothing.
you do.
I sound
you
nothing
totally,
like him.
you totally actually do, because that's
like
you just got his mannerisms, because the way he's so expressive.
He has to be able to dance. He has to be able to dance. And I said, okay. And then, you know, he would walk, take a couple paces and turn around, but he has to be able to dance. But he has to be able. And I was like, okay, whoa, this guy must really have to be able to dance. And no, but they put me through a boot camp, and you know, I danced for about 7 hours a day for about a month, learning all that disco vocabulary. The first thing I learned was the John Travolta dance from Saturday Night Fever. Yeah. So I learned.
You do the John Travolta?
Yeah.
If I was not a nice person, I would totally. But I won't.
I appreciate you so much for that right now. You know, but that was the first thing I learned. I learned a lot of disco movement vocabulary, and then we just said, okay, well now make this your own, make this like Cadillac, and that was definitely a learning experience. Dancers learn differently than actors. And I couldn't take an actor's approach into dancing. I had to let all that stuff go.
Do you have a bigger appreciation for hip hop now that you're immersed in the birth of it, really?
Yeah. I was always aware, but I never sat down and spent time thinking about how much of a cultural influence hip hop has, just as an emotional tool, as a motivational tool, as a commercial tool. It's commercialized out its ears, you know, all across the world, and it has affected people all across the globe. And you know, to think that I'm a part of something that's telling a story of young people who started off just really trying to have a summer block party, or trying to get out the house and make something. But had no idea that they were going to make something that was going to move on to change the entire world. It's really an honor to be a part of that.
And you also have Baywatch coming out.
Yeah.
When is that? What's the release date on that?
Baywatch movie is May 17th, 2007. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Did your heart pitter-patter when you looked into Zac Efron's eyes?
You know.
Be honest now. There's no shame in that.
I will be honest. Not the first day. Not the first time.
Oh.
No.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes a little time. Yeah, I'm not easy. It takes a little time. He had a 5 o'clock shadow the first day, and so I was like, oh, this is the guy? You know, he was good, but he looked like a man. He had a nice 5 o'clock shadow, and it was at the table read. But when I saw him on set the next time, and he had that clean shave, and I was like, okay, I see what you're working with. I'm picking up what you're putting down,
And the shirtless scenes?
You pulling for it. Yeah, Zach got it going on, man. He's the man. Zach's the man.
No, I read the super funny quote from you when you guys were shooting that David Hasselhoff shut it down, that people that he was bigger than Bill, that people just go insane when they see him.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's an international superstar. My goodness, and The Rock too. I mean, he for just blocks, people just lining up to take pictures, and I'd never been around anything like that, anything of that magnitude. But he's so humble. He's so approachable and such a charming guy. I mean, his charisma is larger than the room. but he has the humility to match.
I mean, so does The Rock, right? Like he's.
Oh yeah, The Rock.
Oh, that's what we're talking about. Okay.
Pardon.
No, he's amazing. Like he's
so amazing, so nice, and he was such a great scene partner. He'd ask me, what I think, and he'd share his ideas, and he's such a fun actor to work with. I had no idea what to expect, and he's so good, and his timing is great, and we had a really hard time keeping a straight face a lot of the time. I think the outtakes are going to be really fun. I know the outtakes are going to be really fun on that one.
Well, seeing how people react to The Rock and how insane they go when they see him in public, are you in any way prepared for what happens when this opens and people start recognizing you?
I have no idea what's going on right now. Honestly, just none, zero. Because to me, nothing has really changed. I mean, every once in a while I get picked up in a really nice car from my house, and they take me to places and put makeup on me, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting here having a conversation. But for the most part, I've been really fortunate to just continuously be working since school, and that's really prevented me from having the downtime to reflect on what's changing around me. So to me, I'm just moving forward and just working, and I think I will be surprised actually when and if things change in that way.
Yeah, because they always say you can't prepare yourself, and no matter what you tell yourself, once you're in it, it's like, oh my God, holy shit, this happened. Like that's. Do you think that you would be where you are today if you hadn't gone to Yale Drama School, if you had just started auditioning?
No, I wouldn't. My plan was to move to Los Angeles to get a McDonald's commercial. And really, I wanted to get a McDonald's commercial.
Why not Burger King or like Chick-fil-A?
Because I heard that if you get a McDonald's commercial, you can get $50,000, and so I was like, yeah, I'll do a McDonald's commercial. I'll get my $50,000, and then maybe
I didn't know that. I want to do a McDonald's commercial.
I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's true. McDonald's, call me, let me know. If it is, maybe I'll bite into a burger or something like that. But I did. That was my plan. I wanted to do that, and then I didn't want to stop there, but I thought that's how you work. You start in the mailroom, and then you work your way up. So I said, okay, I'll get a McDonald's commercial, and then obviously the next thing I'll just get a line on a soap opera, or maybe background, get bumped up, and get promoted or something like that. So I tried too. I was planning on doing that, and fortunately someone told me about graduate school, and I tried that route, but. Just getting at Yale, my first summer I did the Williamstown Theater Festival. My second summer I did King Lear at Shakespeare in the Park. That was 2 years ago now, I believe. So Yale really gave me a lot of East Coast exposure and really set me up on a platform to really have strong tools to be able to succeed.
Well, and I think that's probably why Baz wasn't so worried about your acting.
Yeah,
why he was why the dancing was more of a concern.
Yeah.
And now to our audience, please.
Yeah. I was just wondering, when you were switching over after you left architecture, did you ever think that you would maybe go back to it? And were you ever worried about your finances or anything if acting maybe it didn't work out in the beginning?
Absolutely. I gave myself a 3-year plan to make significant progress. I had no idea what that meant, but I knew that at the end of 3 years, I would know whether I was kidding myself or not. So I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 3 years to make significant progress. And I was fortunate enough I was living with my brother at the time, so for about 2 months, he fronted the rent. And I have an amazing family who just, they tell me that if I stop acting and told them I wanted to be an astronaut, they'd just be behind me and they would believe in me. So that helped a bunch. But absolutely, I said if I don't do this in 3 years, if I don't do something significant in 3 years, that I would go back and buckle down with architecture or with city planning is likely what it would have been. And at the end of 14 months, that's when I got into all the programs and things like that. So that's when I had to recalibrate my plans a little bit.
Next question, please.
Hi, that's so awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I want to know if you have any advice for men who want to dress stylish but are sometimes picked on by their peers.
Oh, yeah. Wow. It's from your brother. I can see the seriousness in your eyes, and you want an answer.
And I think she wants it from you, not from Cadillac.
She wants it from me. I can see it. She said, show me the way. I honestly, you know, it really starts with what you see when you look in the mirror, you know, even before you put on the clothes, you know, and, you know, tell him to celebrate himself and put his arms up like a champion and be a champion. You know, really, I was walking up the street the other day and I was feeling a little, you know, my energy, I wasn't feeling down, but my energy wasn't where I wanted to be. So I lifted both my hands up in the air, and I made myself into a champion. I could have done anything in that moment, you know what I mean? And I think we always have to be champions of ourselves. And uh-oh. Who put that there?
I did. I tried to trick you.
Ah! You see that? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
See, you even made water move.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Does that answer your question?
Hi.
Hello.
I wanted to know, what was your biggest takeaway from Yale Drama School?
Yeah, I think it's believe in yourself, and also, but you know, because of Yale Drama School, Yale's a place where there's an acting department, there's playwrights, there are set designers, lighting, projection. It's made up of directors. It's made up of the entire theater community. And so when I step on a set, you know, I get to know the people behind the camera. I get to know the carpenters. I get to know the set designers, and everyone who is helping to make this project happen. It's a really, you know, theater and the whole entertainment industry. It's a community, and a lot of times we only see the actors or we only see the directors. Sometimes the writers, but there's so many people involved to make this magic happen. And Yale definitely gave me an immediate appreciation for what it takes to really do a great job.
And last question, please.
Hey.
You said that you had to learn a lot about music history, so I wanted to ask you, how was it like working with Nelson George?
Oh man, Nelson George, he's a hip hop historian and so much more. Prolific writer, and he, you know, from day one when I stepped onto set, he was just a mentor to me. He sent me a lot of resources, a lot of books on hip hop, and he's a guy who I can always call. And I'm always comfortable if I'm doing an interview and he's on hand. He's such a genuine person. He's so enthusiastic and so knowledgeable about the topic, and he cares about it, so he takes care of the topic as well. So he's such a responsible person and just a dynamic resource and to have to keep us all in check. And he knows all the great spots to eat in New York and in Brooklyn. So, you know, I just got here last May. And so he's been telling me about all the good hangs, is how he calls it. He said, yeah, that's a cool hang, that's a good hang, that's a good hang. So he tells me about all the spots. Such a great friend to have met and made over the last year.
And thank you. The show premieres tonight on Netflix. Thank you so much. Ah!
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.